Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Beard and a Half Movie Reviews. I'm Garrett, and today it's just me, actually. I don't have my better half. I don't have Tyler here with me. Something me and Tyler want to do is kind of definitely get more content out there to everybody. Unfortunately, sometimes it's scheduling issues, one of us is sick, family issues, whatever it may be. We can't always link up as much as we want to do the podcast. So, unfortunately, it's not really what we want, because obviously I love doing the podcast with Tyler and everything. But in order to still give you guys content, we've kind of said, hey, let's do some solos, because we both got the gear to record and everything else at our own places and everything. Might as well just do as much as we can for everybody out there. So before I even begin, if you are just listening to this wherever you're listening to it, if you want to do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. It definitely helps our page out. And if you want to follow all of our socials, we're on it all: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it may be. I only get on Instagram, if I'm being honest, but is what it is. From there, I'm going to spin it into today. I'm going over the Halo television series. This was a show I was super excited to watch. Huge Halo fan myself. Been playing it since the beginning. For those of you who don't know, this series is based on a video game, one that came out in 2001. It's crazy to think it's been that long since I've played that game. Love the games. Played almost all of them, just because there's so freaking many. There's like more than 7 of those, and so many adaptations and everything, and just too many to follow. But regardless, love the games. I remember whenever I was little, playing split screen Halo with my little brother Colin, and some of the best times ever just doing that. It's like any time you die, you just blame it on the fact that the other person's looking at your screen. Just called it screen peeking. That was like, if you died, it didn't matter what you were doing. You got a sword going in for a kill and somebody sticks you with a plasma grenade, you get killed. It's because they were screen peeking. It had nothing to do with skill. It's always screen peeking. That was like the number one thing that you would say if somebody killed you. But regardless, even after all the arguing and fights that game caused, looking back on it, super good time. That being said, obviously, when I heard about the show coming out, I was super stoked. Because, like I said, huge fan of the games. I was like, dude, this thing could be next level. And we're going to get into that. Before I even start, though, with the show and everything, I want to kind of go over, this show came out, well, it started on Paramount Plus. It's only on Paramount Plus. It started, though, releasing episodes, I think on March 24th, if I'm not mistaken. And every week it's kind of put out a new episode. I just watched the last episode last night, and today I was like, hey, screw it, you know what? Let's just freaking do a podcast on this, because I seen it all the way through from the beginning, and there's definitely some stuff I have to say about the show, but regardless, it's got a TV-14 rating. Every episode's about an hour, give or take, created by Stephen Kane and Kyle Killen. Hope I pronounced that right. As always, if you know me, I'm terrible at pronouncing things. Stars Pablo Schreiber as Master Chief, Shabana Azmi, don't know if I got that right, Admiral Margaret Paragoski, rolling with that, Natasha Kulzak as Riz, we got Olive Gray as Dr. Miranda Keys, we got Yeren Ha as Quan Ha, Bentley Kalu as Vanek. We got Kate Kennedy as Kai. Charlie Murphy as McKee. Who else we got? We got Danny Sapani as Captain Jacob Keys. Jen Taylor voicing Cortana. Little known fact, she is the same voice of the Cortana in all of the games. So super excited to hear she was going to be voicing her for this too. We got Bokeem Woodbine as Soren. Natasha McElhone? We're going to roll with that. It's Dr. Catherine Halsey. And from there, it kind of just fades away. Obviously, there's some more characters, but I'm not going to go through anymore, honestly, because those are the major ones. I'm not going to give a whole rundown on what the entire show is about, but to sum it up, if you haven't seen it, and you don't mind me spoil it, because I'm about to. It's basically a story that follows the character Master Chief, kind of just like in most of the games. Master Chief is this Spartan. Spartans are kind of these futuristic, obviously it's a very big sci-fi show, and takes place in the future and everything else. Spartans are super soldiers that the government created. They're stronger, faster than your average man. They got like augments in them and all this crazy stuff. But on top of that, they're given these suits. And with these suits, basically they're just able to do crazy things. We're talking like flying ships into orbit and just jumping out from there without parachutes and just hitting the ground. Like, these guys are just next level. Strength, speed, everything. And then lies Master Chief, who was kind of like the biggest and baddest of them all, kind of the OG. He wasn't the first Spartan, but he's definitely the best, and you kind of learn that over time. Not just because of his skills on the battlefield, but just intellect and everything. He's just an awesome character, and I was super excited to see him on the big screen. But yeah, the show kind of follows him, and basically, not Earth, because it doesn't take place on Earth for the most part. You're on this planet Reach, where kind of the humans kind of are at. It's basically a war against the Covenant. The Covenant being these alien creatures that are looking for an artifact. The said artifact is supposed to show them the location of Halo, which is a weapon, as far as they know anyways. And yeah, the show kind of just follows him and all of this other crazy in and outs that happen with the UNSC, the Covenant, the Spartans. You get introduced to some other characters. Obviously, there's a little bit of romance in here and there. There's a lot of action. I take that back. There's not a lot of action. There's actually minimal action, which kind of pissed me off. Regardless of that, just that's all I'm gonna say about the whole show in its entirety. We're gonna jump right into what I liked about this movie, show. I liked the action. It had a lot of action. I will admit that. And once again, I just fucking went over what I just said, because I just said it didn't. But the more I think about it, the more I guess it did. It just didn't always happen with Master Chief, which kind of pissed me off. But it was good. The first episode, you immediately dive into people dying and shit, and just the show was a lot more violent than I thought it was going to be, honestly. For a show that's based on a video game, I just didn't think it was going to be that violent, but it was, and I did like that. All of the action scenes were done very well. Definitely liked it. VFX was good. All of the alien creatures, I thought looked really well. Full disclosure, I watched the last episode, which probably seemed like it had the most VFX and just special effects and everything. I just got new glasses, and I chose to watch the show with those on. And if you've ever gotten new glasses, you'll know that you're very disoriented. Your depth perception is shit. And the glasses I got, unfortunately, weren't even the right prescription, but I tried to wear them for a whole day anyways, just to make sure. And so what I saw was good, but if I'm being honest, a lot of stuff was a blur. But it is what it is. I wasn't going to wait any longer to watch that show. What else is there? The suits that the Spartans wear, spot on. Absolutely love the way Master Chief looked, and all of the other Spartans, his whole silver team. Super cool. Dug all of them. I thought everybody looked their parts. I thought the planets, the scenery and stuff like that, very reminiscent of the game settings and stuff like that. All of the Covenant, the aliens, the elites, the hunters, all the characters, I thought they all looked very well done. From the ships to their weapons they were using to everything else. Everything looked phenomenal. And like I said, very spot on with the game. Also, Cortana, at first was kind of iffy on the way she looked. It's basically an AI character that lives inside Master Chief's head, and she can, pop out in front of him and stuff like that. He can literally see her, as I'm pretty sure everybody else can. But regardless, I thought she looked a little too human to me. In the game, she definitely, you were like, okay, that's not real. That's a little, blue person. But in this, I don't know. She wasn't as blue as I wanted. I don't know how to explain it. She just, I don't know, just a little bit different. But I was super excited. Like I said, they got the original voice actor to come back from the games and voice her for the show, so that was super cool. Absolutely loved it. Now we're gonna get into some stuff I didn't like about this show, because honestly, there was a fuck ton. I hated the show, if I'm being real. And maybe that's because I had such high expectations for it and everything, playing the games, wanting to relive those moments as a child where I'm, kicking aliens' asses and shooting them in the face and everything. Maybe I set my expectations too high, but that's on me if so. I will say, if you haven't played the games, you'll probably enjoy the show. If you have played the games, you're probably going to hate the show, honestly, because the show takes place in a totally different... I think the creator came out and said that he wanted to make it not like the games, still the same characters and stuff like that, and then adding new characters, which I'll get into, but it's its own timeline. I think he referred to it as the Silver Timeline. And I just have to say, that was like the biggest fucking mistake, man. The show just... When you take a game that's just about, very straightforward plot, at least for the first one. In the game, you just shoot people. It's a first-person shooter game. You're just shooting aliens and shit, That's the main thing, blowing shit up, And then now we've taken a show, and I understand having to, world build, sorry, not bend. I understand, creating a story out of something where, your basis is just shooting people, I get all that, okay? But to me, they kind of just took it to the extreme. The first thing I hated was Master Chief. This was not a Master Chief I remember, from all the games I played. This was a different Master Chief. First of all, in the first episode, he takes off his freaking helmet, which pissed me off. In not one of the games will you ever catch Master Chief with his helmet off. You never see his face. You still to this day have no idea what he looks like, because he never takes his helmet off. And in the first episode, Homeboy takes his helmet off, and I'm like, oh man, you ruined it for me. Kind of one of the cool things about Master Chief is just kind of this mysterious factor about him. You don't know what he really looks like. Shit, could be a white man, could be a black man, could be, any ethnicity. We don't know. Could be anybody under that helmet. And I think that was something that the games really ran with, and it worked out for them. But unfortunately for the show, immediately was just like, hey, this is what this dude looks like. And I'm like, I don't know. I just wasn't about it. Something else I didn't like about Master Chief, he is so fucking emotional throughout this whole show. In the games, you have a character that's very... And I know I hate to just keep comparing a show to the game and everything, but the character that I expected, that I remember, that I grew up with, was a character that spoke rarely. When he did, it was very straight to the point. Don't get me wrong, he had his one-liners and stuff like that, but it was just a character that you just could tell was an ultimate badass in every way, just by his, his silence. Kind of like Batman, but not really like Batman, you know what I'm saying? Regardless, this character, very emotional, very... Throughout the series, if you've seen it, if you haven't, you'll understand what I'm talking about. He figures out that all of the Spartans were taken from, their youths whenever they were little, and kidnapped basically and turned into Spartans, the next, evolution of mankind, if you will. And when he figures this out, he just becomes an absolute fucking mess. And dude, I just couldn't care less. And I know what you're saying, Garrett, it's could care less, but no, I say couldn't care less because I could care less. I could not talk about it at all, but because I am talking about it, it's I couldn't care less. Regardless, just this emotional wreck, and I didn't like it. There's just so much talking with him. Some episodes, there was zero action, and it was just talking, which I'm okay with, but just have some meaning behind the shit that you're talking about, And it was just all emotional. I don't know. I didn't like it. Plus, throughout the show, I saw that dude's ass cheeks like 4 fucking times. By the end of it, he wasn't even Master Chief to me. It was just Master Cheeks. Because it just kept showing his ass. Every other episode, you saw that dude's ass. And I was like, not only was it thrown off to me that I have to see Master Chief's face, now I have to see his ass every fucking episode almost. Every other episode. Maybe I'm, stretching. But regardless, too much. Twice is too much to see the same character's ass. It's just, we were past it. But for some odd reason, I just kept seeing Master Chief's cheeks. And it was just very annoying to me. Another thing I did not like about the show at all was the character McKee. This is a character that the show brought in, a new character, not ever in any of the games, something entirely new they were trying. This is a character that from youth was also kidnapped, but by the Covenant. There is this artifact that the Covenant are looking for, and they realize that this girl, McKee, was able to interact with said artifact and open up the map to find Halo. Unfortunately, you have to have both sets of the artifact, which kind of, leads on the story of them trying to find the other one and everything else. But regardless, later come to find out Master Chief and her can both interact with it. They had this weird, bond over it or whatever. I don't know. I hated this character. She was so fucking annoying, and just the fact that she got introduced and then became almost like Master Chief's love interest. I get that shit out of here, man. He doesn't need a love interest. I don't care about any of that. The only thing he ever really loved in the game was Cortana, which was kind of weird, like in some AI fucking robot in your helmet. But whatever. We got over it. And it became a bond that we all came to love. But the show gave us this bond between him and this other character over this fucking artifact. And I just didn't like her at all. I hated her. And then they bone. And I was like, what the fuck? Now they're doinking? I don't understand it, dude. I don't know. Spoiler alert, she dies in the last episode, and I could not have been more happier about that. So I don't ever want to see that girl again on the... If they do make another season. I don't know if they have. I haven't looked it up, or if they're going to, I mean. But regardless, I don't want to see her again. Something else that kind of threw me off about her character is that the Covenant sends her behind enemy lines to go with the humans to find the other artifact, kind of working as a double agent, And her only form of defense is this little fucking lightsaber fucking thing that comes out of her index fingernail, and it was just so fucking weird. I don't know. I feel like if you're going to send one of your people behind enemy lines to, live amongst the humans and everything, you'd give them a better safeguard than a fucking lightsaber fingernail. I don't know. That was just fucking weird to me. And then she pulls it out and it's all gross, and I don't know, because she loves Chief. I don't know, it was stupid. Something else I didn't like about it, just they introduced this other new character. Just in whole, a lot of these new characters they introduced, I fucking hated. Quan Ha was possibly the worst character in this entire show. I hated her more than McKee. Not to say that the actor didn't do her part. She did an awesome job, acted well. Wasn't her fault. It's just the character in a whole. From the first episode she's introduced, which was literally in the first episode, it then leads into this side plot kind of thing of her family and her struggles on her home planet and all this other bullshit. And I just I couldn't care less. I'm going to say it again. I know you're thinking could care less, but once again, I couldn't care less. Okay? I just, every time that character, there's a whole episode just devoted to her. And it took me 2 days after it came out to sit down and watch it, because I watched the first 5 episodes and immediately I knew, oh shit, this whole episode's going to be about her. I changed the channel. We'll change it to something else. Waited 2 more days and finally said, you know what, I got to fucking watch it because I want to finish the series and see if it gets any better. Unfortunately, that was the worst episode of me. But yeah, just her whole character in a whole, I did not care. Did not see the point in adding her to the show. I feel like they just threw her in there for filler. And if you're going to have filler in a show that's mainly action based, or should be, just throw in more fucking action, dude. Just have Chief go on an adventure with his team and they just go fight some more people. I don't know. Would have been way better to watch than this emotional conundrum of a story with this new character, Quan Ha. Yeah, once again, another character I don't want to see ever again if they do another season. Something else I didn't like, that it didn't follow the games. Now, once again, I understand you're not wanting to follow the games. You want to do your own thing. I respect that. Whatever. The issue was that they just fucking went the complete opposite way with the games. They did entirely their own thing. And it just was so vastly different from what I was expecting. And not in a good way. It was in a terrible way. And I didn't love, like I said, once again, you have your main character that's now all up in his feelings all the time, which rubs off onto another Spartan, Kai. She was in her feelings too, but whatever. There's these scenes where they're in a fight and he's letting out all this rage and violently like punching one of the aliens in the face and like stomps his face and everything else. Although it was cool to watch, it just, I don't know. I'm just like, dude, calm it down. Jesus Christ. Besides that, the whole love interest thing, once again, that's not something that was ever in the games. And that's something I wish they never would have added for the show. And then the fact that, then he doinks this woman. And I don't know. It just fucking, it's the whole story. There were some aspects I did like about it. I did like Halsey. I did like all that crap. I don't know. It just, the story just, we finished the whole series and we don't even fucking see the Halo ring. We still don't even know where they are. And that was just wild to me. I figured at least by the end of it we'd find them, because there's not just one, there's multiple. But we don't know. I have no idea. Still don't know. Stupid as shit. And the show fucking ends and what is he, dead? I don't understand. Cortana takes over his body. And that's it. And then he doesn't talk, which may be cooler. I don't know. If the next season he just says very little to nothing, and then he's just Cortana running Chief's body, cool. I don't know. Maybe he's more in tune with the character I remember. I don't know. I gotta hit a sippy sip break. Speaking of Cortana, another thing I did not like about the show is that she's actually in his head. In the games, Cortana was an AI, like I said, but she was an AI that lived in his helmet. A little microchip, if you will, that went into the back of his helmet. That way, if he didn't want to talk to her, he could just take the fucking helmet off. But, unfortunately, in this game, or this show, once again, I keep referring to it as a game, but in this show, she literally lives inside of his head. So she's always with him, which has to be weird. In fact, it was super weird. Whenever he's doinking that McKee chick, she's just like watching the whole thing happen. And that was just, I didn't understand that. Was she jealous? I don't know. That scene was just weird to me. The whole doinking thing was just fucking weird to me, but I don't know. It is what it is, okay? That's pretty much sums it up for, you know what? No, there is one more fucking thing I absolutely hated about this show. And if you've ever seen any of the Iron Man movies or any of the Avenger movies with Iron Man in it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So you remember, I'm sure you do, the scenes with Robert Downey Jr. when he's wearing his Iron Man suit and it has the shot of inside of his helmet, where you see all the little shit popping up in his face and kind of like just that shot of his face inside of his helmet and everything. This show does that with the Spartans as well. And I absolutely hated it. We see it with Chief at the beginning. There's this one scene where he's literally running and screaming, and instead of just showing him running and screaming, we have a shot of his face in the helmet, running and screaming like he's fucking Iron Man. And then later, at the last episode, when all the Spartans are together and everybody's wearing their helmets, they're having a conversation with each other, and then instead of just shooting the scene of 4 people talking to each other. Instead, we have this weird fucking shot of their faces inside their helmets, and it keeps cutting to each one of their faces as they're all talking and having a conversation. That was so fucking stupid. Don't do that again. Just show their damn helmets, okay? We already know who's underneath. We don't need to keep seeing their faces and everything. If you can't show emotion without showing their faces, then you need to get better body doubles for the people wearing the suits. Because, fuck, if Spider-Man and Deadpool can do it, then you can fucking do it, you know? I don't know. Regardless, that's pretty much what I hated about the show. Overall opinion, it's not good. It's just not good for me. Once again, I've talked to people who've, well, I mean, I hate to say it, but I've talked to older people. And by older, I mean older than me. Like people in their 30s. Basically, people that have never played any of the games. Just to narrow that down without age meaning anything. They all liked it. So if you've never played the games and you're in a sci-fi fantasy kind of thing, you may like it. Yeah, you might. You probably will, you know. But if you've played the games, if you're a hardcore Halo fan like me, you will not like it. You will absolutely hate it. And you will definitely get on Reddit to a subreddit that just talks shit on Halo, the TV series, and you will definitely comment on that shit. Not saying that from experience, you know, just could happen to anybody. You never know. Whatever. Yeah, I just didn't like it. Don't get me wrong, there was aspects I did like, but overall, did not like it. It was a struggle for me to get through about 2 episodes of this show. I'm not going to say exactly which 2. One of them was the whole Quan Hosh episode, but regardless, it just did not do it for me. Do I have high hopes if they do make a second season? Yes. I really hope they turn it around. I really hope they kind of stray back to kind of the plot line of the games, which they are somewhat following. Don't get me wrong. But just some of these side plots and just emotional conundrums and bottle episodes and all this other shit, I just could care less about, dude. It's a show that primarily should be action-based. Give me more action, please. When it happens, I love it, but it rarely happens, and I don't like it. Thoughts on the second season? I really hope in the second season we get less Iron Man face shots of inside the helmet. I really hope Master Chief stops being a little bitch. There's that fucking train. If you've ever listened to the podcast before and I'm recording at home, you know about that train. God dang, I gotta move. I hope there's more Spartans, honestly. We've only seen 4 Spartans, and I know at this point there has to be more, you know. There may not be, but you never know. I hope that Master Chief never has another love interest and doesn't doink anybody again, because you're ruining the character that I love, and I hate it. That's pretty much it, though, honestly. Just have a better story, more action, less face shots of inside the helmet. And I don't ever want to see Master Chief's ass cheeks again. Do not do that again, please. I don't care how handsome the guy that plays Master Chief is. I don't need to see his ass cheeks. I don't need to see Master Cheeks. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. Overall score of the show, if I had to put it in beard ratings, which is kind of, you know, what we do here on this podcast, out of 5, I'm going to give it a solid 175. 175 Master Chief beards. That's all I can do. Like I said, I did not like it at all. It just wasn't doing it for me. But hey, here's high hopes for the next season. Once again, if they make it, don't even know if it's approved yet or if they're doing it at all. But hopefully they do. Hopefully they make it better. Hopefully they introduce more characters. Another thing, actually, I'd love to see if they do a second season is the Arbiter. People who've played the games know about that character. If you haven't, look it up. Awesome character for the Halo story. Really hope he's in the second season. But Only time will tell. But that's going to do it, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, please, once again, give us a follow, like, subscribe, whatever it may be. I'm going to start trying to do these more, whether it's TV shows I'm reviewing, whether it's movies. I watch a lot of movies. And sometimes whenever me and Tyler are picking movies for the show, we don't always agree on stuff like that. So this kind of gives me the opportunity to do some of the movies that maybe I want to do that he doesn't want to sit through, which is understandable. Sometimes we have different opinions on things, which is a great dynamic for the show. But sometimes, I want to do some stuff that I want to do. But at the same time, this gives him an opportunity to do his stuff. So if you did like the solo episode, please let us know you liked it. If you want more of them, let us know. We'd love to get your feedback. Hit us up, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of those good things. But yeah, that's going to do it. I'm going to go outside and scream at the top of my lungs at this fucking train. So everybody, for Beer and a Half Movie Reviews, I am Garrett, and we will see you on the next one.